morning to all of you. As we are celebrating our 75th year of independence, and Prime Minister, our Honorable Prime Minister, has proposed this thing. We celebrate for around 75 weeks this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and from our department, we are conducting these programs. And today we have coalition, that is our debate competition. We have 4 members who will go one on one in 2 teams. So I'd like to request all of you to introduce yourselves first. Let's start with ladies first. Vidhi, start.
A very good afternoon to all the jury members and my fellow participants. Myself, Vidhi Singh, and today I will be shedding light on my views against the motion. That is the second topic: Indian economy and the cultural ethics deteriorated during the post-colonial era. Thank you.
Next, Prajwal.
Good afternoon, respected professors, organizers, and my dear friends. I am Prajwal Rao from the Department of Earth Sciences, and my topic for the day is social media is connecting people and socially and emotionally. And I would like to speak against the motion. Thank you.
Priti.
Good afternoon to all. Myself Priti Ghosh. I'm debating on the topic on Indian economy and cultural ethics deteriorated during the post-colonial era with Vidhi.
Good afternoon, respected professors, organizers, and my fellow classmates. My topic for today's debate is social media connecting people emotionally and socially, and I will speak in favor of the topic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll be starting or not. And I would like to mention that we have Dr. Atin Kumar Mitro and Dr. Momita Talukdar as our jury members, and they will be judging your debate for today. Okay. So let's start. We will start with Indian economy and cultural ethics that deteriorated during post-colonial era, and who will go affirmative? Start. You will be allotted 5 minutes first, and there will be 3 rounds, 5 minutes each to each of the participants. Okay, let's start.
The Indian economy and cultural ethics deteriorated during post-colonial era. The post-colonial era means the time span of 1947 after the freedom to 1980. Uh, that's called the post-colonial era part. And first, I'm going to the economy section. Uh, in 19 if you consider after the just after the freedom, the Indian economy faced a double whammy with a severe drought gripping most of the country and crude oil prices almost doubling due to supply distribution because of that Iranian revolution against the state monarch. If we consider the GDPs, this we all see that the 5 instances of recession of real GDP contraction since the nation's independence in 1957 to 1958, minus 1.2%. And if that gone for 1965 to 66, minus 2.6 percentage, 90 for the 1966 to 1967, minus 0.1 percentage, 1972 to 1973, minus 0.6%, and 1979 to 1980, minus 5.2%, all over showing a declining growth rate of these GDPs, with from sector accounting for the dominant share of the GDP. Given weak external balances, most recession were earlier driven by the severe droughts or high international energy prices. The GDP data for the June quarter of FY21, due to the latter today, even if we consider today also, it's also decreasing, and the would reveal the extent of the damage of the pandemic also caused that Indian economic growth in declining stage. So we can see that in a declining stage position of the post colonial era. While the Indian's economy had been slowing down well before the pandemic, the third largest economy expected fall in the recession of the FY21 for the first time in the 40 years. In 1979 and 80, the Indian economy faced a double whammy with a severe drought of the crude oil increasing rate, and after the two remarkable years of the and it's there also fall of agriculture. The After the two remarkable years of the good rainfall and the drought in the Kharif season of the producing states in the country led to a decline in the agricultural production by 10%. The sharp rise in the petroleum also led to the flare up of the inflationary of the pressure of the wholesale price inflation soaring 20%. The year coincide with a change in the government, with the fall of 33 months of the old coalition government under the Janata Party. In the seventh Lok Sabha election in 1980, Indira Gandhi came back to power for the first time after the emergency with a massive mandate. The finance minister R. Venkataraman presented interim budget of the 11th March 1980, then the full year budget of 18th June 1980. In this interim budget of 1980-81, Venkataraman blamed the Janata government for the economic misery of the country, holding that instead of the building further the strong resilient economy we had left behind in 1977, they have allowed it to drift through inaction of the mismanagement into stagnation. Venkataraman said that the state of the economy is such that the government will need some more time to assess the damage suffered by the economy to evolve a coherent medium-term strategy for the revival and the restoration of its health. In his regular budget in 1980-81 presented in the June, Venkataraman said the most important and concerning fact about the Indian economy is that GDP declined in 1979 to 80 due to contraction in the agricultural as well as industrial production. The setback in the agriculture and was partly an account of the severe drought which affected large parts of the country. The decline of the industrial production.
So I
I
would
would
like
like
to.
to suggest something. Preeti, just don't read out like this, okay? Just you be yourself and make your point clear, okay? Vidhi, you can go.
Indian independence led to the major change in the direction of economic policy and growth. From a globalized economy integrated into the British Empire, the next 30 years saw a retreat from these policies and capital flows. India basically adopted 5-year plans to transform from a colonial economy to a self sufficient one. And I would like to present the factual figures and the stats to counter my fellow participants which will show and prove my point regarding the growth in the post colonial era amid these 5-year plans. So during the first 5-year plan, which was from 1951 to 1956, Its focus was basically on agriculture sector, including irrigation and power projects, and its targeted growth was 2.1%, while the achieved growth rate was 3.6%. Coming to the second 5-year plan, which was basically the PC Mahalanobis model, jointly given by Jawaharlal Nehru, it was basically the turning point in the India's planning strategy for the economic development, and it was from 1956 to 1961, and its focus majorly was on rapid industrialization with a focus on heavy industries and capital goods. And apart from this, other elements of this model include import substitution, that was to uh, include protective barriers to the foreign competition, which would enable industrial goods, development of industrial goods in our country, and the restriction from the foreign import. And also the public sector activation in the vital areas of the economy, including atomic energy and railway transport, and also a vibrant small scale sector during driving the consumer goods and production for dispersed and equitable growth and for producing entrepreneurs. And in this model, growth rate achieved 4.1%. So this model was also considered very successful. Coming to third year plan, which was from 1961 to 1966, it was its main objectives was to make the economy independent and to reach the self-active position takeoff. Then came three annual plans, that was from 1966 to 1969, and its focus was basically on self-reliance, and it also saw the green revolution. In this green revolution, agricultural productivity began to rise. Yield per acre doubled in rice production and tripled in wheat production between 1955 and 1990, increasing per capita availability of cereals. Coming to the fifth year plan, that was from 1974 to 1979, its focus was basically on top priority agriculture, followed by industry and mines, and also on poverty alleviation and self reliance. And its targeted growth rate was 4.4%, while the achieved growth rate was 4.8%. Then coming to the sixth 5-year plan, which was from 1980 to 1985, a little more than the post-colonial era, but its focus was majorly on poverty eradication and employment generation. It also included the launch of various several programs like NREP and IRDP, and its targeted growth rate was 5.2%, while the achieved growth rate was 5.7%. Similarly, in the seventh 5-year plan from 1985 to 1990, its objectives were rapid food grain production, increased employment creation, and productivity in general. And its targeted growth rate was 5%, and its achieved growth rate was 6%. So, overall achievements in this post-colonial era in the Indian economy included the acceleration of growth rate. During the first 3 decades of planning, the growth averaged around 3.5 to 4%, known as the Hindu growth rate, which was the term coined by Raj Krishna. Then it also saw the growth of agricultural sector, mainly because of the green revolution. And it also saw the development of economic infrastructure and development of heavy capital goods industry base because of the industrialization era, which led to the gross domestic capital formation rose from 6.7% of GDP before 1940 to 13% in 1951 and rising to 20% in 1970s. So basically, our economic development didn't deteriorate in the post-colonial era, but it was stagnated in the colonial era, but it only went on to increase, although growth wasn't that much, but it wasn't stagnant also as in the colonial period. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kriti, you go on.
The primary issue of that economic growth of India is the low per capita income and huge dependence on the population of on agricultural heavy population pressure, and also the national debt tripled as spending increased, and poverty is the main factor also, and eradication of poverty and unemployment, getting proper education and healthcare facilities are not provided. That's all over. That control over that rising prices and commodities in the market causes inflation, which causes the economical growth of which causes the low economical growth. The economy in that post-colonial era of the nation dured in the deep recession throughout 1982. Business bankruptcies rose 50% over the previous years, and farmers were especially hard hit, and the agricultural exports declined, crop prices fell, and interest rates rose. After discontinuing the practice of the deficit financing in the historic agreement with the Reserve Bank of India in 1997, from the ninth plan onwards, the government may again opt for the nuclear option, given by the revenue of the expenditure dynamics under the shadow of the yet unfolding pandemic. The the Hanover economics, who had advised that the quantum of a deficit financing should be well within the tolerance limit of the economy. If the deficit financing is used in judiciously, financial targets may be reached, but physical target may not be achieved owing to the erosion of the resources. So it's a major drawbacks. And if we go for the for also the RM Hanover, the chief economic advisor, in the finance ministry, the economic survey of 1979 to 1980 called for the restraint in the common practice of the deficit financing in those years, mainly of that cause, poor households, little food, no school, no education, disease, inflation, and no energy, no skills to work, low productivity, low rate of income, and low self-esteem, and high childbirth, sick elderly, more dependency, as all causes that poor economical growth. In 1947, India gained independence from the Great Britain, but its poverty rate at that time, British departure 70%. India in the country with the highest population living below the poverty line. Poverty entails more than lack of income and productive resources. Agricultural damage, main cause, the drawback of the prioritizing industry over agriculture for public investment become globalization apparent when the country experimented a food crisis in mid 1960s. If we go on the cultural ethics, the cultural influence on ethics, the more generally accepted, India is a mixed culture, integrity including exercising good judgment and professional practice, honesty and truthfulness, um, cultural change brings issues in the intergroup relation, prejudice, cultural and self identity, and perception of the society to the forefront. Social conflict, religious extremism, casteism, Naxalism, terrorist activity, and secessionist and sectarian violence in the regions or states. And on top of that, India faced a threat of overtaking because of its weak and vulnerable state after the independence. It is also a drawbacks of India after the post-colonial after the independence. Social problem can be seen as communalism, especially after the partition, when mass mobilization occurred, and others included rampant casteism and untouchability is also a major drawback, and difficulty in the partition, which lead to plenty of the Pakistanis and Indians homeless and without suitable income source. And there is a difficulty declaring the national language also. Newly independent Indian nation.
Okay, Vidhi, go on.
In this segment, I would like to present my views that cultural ethics of India basically didn't deteriorated during the post-colonial era. Although westernizations did impacted our Indian culture in many ways, and it is still talked about in recent times, but during the post-colonial era, which was only a period of 30 to 40 years, we didn't see a major impact in the change of our Indian culture and Indian values. Our Indian culture is very rich and very diversified. And I think the westernization or the colonial time only impacted our Indian culture for the betterment or the purification of the evils which were rooted and still in our society. For example, because of the Western education, or we can say the colonial impact, there was prohibition of sati, abolition of child marriage, introduction of widow remarriage, checking of infanticide, polygamy, untouchability, etc. And these helped in eradicating the age-old social evils from the Indian society. Basically, it helped in elevation of the social status of our Indian culture. And the colonial period also showed the concept of the India, which was equality before law. That means all the people belonging to any caste or any sections will be seen equal before law. Nobody will be given any punishment, or any the actions against them will be taken on the basis of their caste or creed, which was initially taken back in India based on the Brahmins and Shudras and Vaishyas and Kshatriyas. So this also was a major change, which also helped in purification of our Indian status. Coming to the one basic primary ethics of Indian culture lies in the unification, oneness, and nationalism of India. And colonialism and our Indian struggle saw the unification of India, or it with the Western impact basically instill the notes of nationalism in Indian minds. So the basically the Western impact brought Indians together. It aroused nationalism in them, defined unity and connectedness, which is the primary basic ethic of Indian nation. And it is still instilled upon us. So I didn't think it impacted in the post-colonial era. Now coming also, the Britishers gave us the Indian civil services, and initially, since only Britishers were getting benefited from those civil services, but later on, it was the exam which was made on the basis of totally merit. So it also saw the upheld of the middle classes. So the people from anywhere, any caste, any creed could participate only on the basis of the merit. So it helped in the elevation of Indian society, and also helped in the elevation of the middle class, which was not seen before that. Also, I would like to say that our Indian literature, Indian art forms, Indian scriptures and manuscripts are the pride we hold for. It basically speaks for Indians' pride, and it was due to the Western impact or the Western education, or because of the colonialism, India and its power reached out to various other nations. It started becoming a global power, and it was mainly affected because of the rich literature we had, rich architecture, our rich ancient manuscripts, and also since India is diversified into many vernacular regional languages, so also the introduction of English language in India, which also became the one of the official languages of India. So many scriptures were translated into English, and also to many other languages, and to also the many other languages, and vice versa, which helped our culture to reach out to many other parts of the world, which might not have been possible had we still restricted ourselves to the Indian mindset or the orthodoxical mindset. Also, a dance and music art form, which is very very popular, and which is known worldwide today. It was our basically intact. It didn't change at all. It didn't reformed in any way, and it's still known. And it is many foreigners and many foreign countries still appraise our culture and our art form. And it is still, and all the cultural values, our family values, our ethical values, it is still instilled in us. The Western impact had been in our society, but it had been only for the purification and the betterment of Indian nature.
Priti,
Yes, and the economy in the Indian economy and the cultural ethics deteriorated during the post-colonial era. It's right because of that. We means the cultural ethics, actually the morality, integrity, and the religion. But the ethics refers to the norms, conduct regarding acceptable and non unacceptable behaviors within the society or the community, not necessarily from a legal perspective, but from a legal and or cultural perspective also. Much of the discussion and the literature on ethics and living heritage of the safeguarding relates the situation where the non-community members carrying out research or data collection encountered the problematic issues relaying the disrespect and exploitation and misinterpretation arising from that problems. And the main problem of that cultural ethics deterioration is the separation, the religion dispute, awareness problem, conductivity problem, dissolution problems. And also the cultural diversity of the India is from the major religious India as Hinduism, majority of the religion Islam, the minority religion is the largest, and the Sikhism, Buddhism, Christianity, Jainism, all over the India is belongs to that. It's a great diversity. And after the independence, India had to face many problems like illiteracy, corruption, status of the woman, poverty, gender discrimination, untouchability, regionalism, communalism. It's the major drawbacks, and these cultural discriminancy leads to the threat for the economic growth of the India as well. And so for the India of the sovereign democratic republic, after its constitution came into effect 26 January 1950, Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the first president of the India. Three words you used: socialist, secular, integrity, were in 1970 with the 42nd constitution amendment in 1976. But the major problem of the social conflict, religious extremism, casteism, Naxalism, terrorist activity is going on also today. So it's a decline. It's showing us a declining stage of our Indian culture. And even Indian culture has ever changing even today because of the foreign invasion and its impact. India has been invaded by different foreign rulers at different times, and they have left their cultural impact in India, which got integrated and give a new cultural dimension. But after the separation, that got puzzled, and it's created a mess on our Indian culture. Yes.
Okay, so you're done. Vidhi?
So, in the concluding segment, at first I would like to counter my fellow contestant because she majorly spoke about the diversity in the religion and the caste and the differences it had been creating in our Indian society. But I would like to consider that it was already present in our Indian cultures from the very beginning, since the pre-colonial era. And we're talking here about to draw the comparisons between the colonial and the after effects of the colonial period. So I don't think the colonialism changed, like, it damaged anything on our Indian integrity or our Indian values or ethics. And talking about the caste and the religion area, it had already been instilled into our society because of our Indian mindset and of our patriarchal nature or the orthodox nature of the Indian mindset. And the only we are today talking about, or we had been talking about since our constitution was made, about the upliftment of the minorities or the upliftment of the lower caste, or the equal rights given to the women, and the social uplift of the women's status in our society, only because of the little western impact, or because we want to see them in with an equal frame. So I don't think it really impacted us in a like negative way, and it is only today that we want to create better opportunities for everybody equally. And these some taboo topics are being talked about because of the westernization, and it is helping our Indian society to grow in a very healthy way, I think. So it's for the better. And on concluding my debate, I would like to just say that here we're talking about Indian economy and the cultural ethics only during the post-colonial era. So I had already given my points. Our agriculture, which was stagnant during the colonial time, our industrialization was stagnant during the colonial time, and our goods and labor and our workcraft, it was being exploited during the colonial time. But during the post-colonial time, we tried to develop from the scratch and develop our economy and develop our country as an independent and self-sufficient nation. And we had been working towards it, and we had seen the stats of growth in all the sectors, be it health, education, and infrastructure, or in any other aspect, be it public sector, private sector, secondary, tertiary, primary sectors. It is all seeing graduation in some or the other bits. And similarly, our cultural or ethics values are still intact in our families. In our like pre-generations, it had been going down the hierarchy. So that I would like to conclude by saying that I would still stand against the motion that our culture and Indian economy is still developing from post-colonial era. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will be taking a short break. Atin sir is busy. He's in the lab and he's discussing something with someone. So after 5 minutes or so, we'll be back. You stay online, you guys. Okay. Yeah. If Momita ma'am has any comments to share with us, she can.
No, I just
Yes, I'm
have
back.
to say that it's well spoken, and we will be communicating with the other judges. We will be communicating with each other, then we will let you know. Okay, well spoken. No, I don't have any questions, not any suggestions. Thank
In case of debate, there should be no question.
you. Yes.
Okay. No. My suggestion for Preeti is that uh, you must rehearse more.
So it's a rush. Shagnik said me yesterday, and
No, actually, you have given.
I have not even written all of that
No, no,
points
no.
and
Don't
make
get
a.
too much depressed because you have given a lot of informations. That is very good. Okay, but the way you are delivering, uh, you should perform more. Okay, otherwise, Vidhi's delivery is very nice, but your information is very good also.
Yes, means
Hmm?
the information quality is very good. Both of you, Priti also
Yeah,
had a very
but
good information quality.
hmm.
But ma'am, I will.
Just yeah, not too much of
And
talking.
moreover, Preeti, in case of debate, you are not supposed to get the topic before 2 days. You- Instantly, you will get the topic, and instantly you have to.
I'm just
Uh,
reading all over that all things. It's not a debate like
but
that's.
I must say that your discussion was very nice, and it is the information. It is very nice. Okay, very good. Okay,
Thank you,
Nandini?
sir.
Hmm.
Yes, sir. So next up, we have social media is connecting people socially and emotionally, and we have two participants, Ria and Prajwal. They one of them will go affirmative, and the other will go neutral. So you guys can start. Who is affirming the statement?
Me, Ria.
Okay, okay, go on.
Ria is for.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, carry on.
Okay. So we are all now connected by the internet like neurons in a giant brain. Good afternoon, honorable professors, organizers, and my worthy opponents. and thank you for giving me the opportunity to join this debate on the topic. Social media is connecting people socially and emotionally. I am Ria Sachan, pursuing Masters of Science in Applied Geology from Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur, and I would like to speak in the favor of motion. Um, Human beings are, as we all know, human beings are social creatures. We need the companionship of others to thrive in life, and uh, and the strength of our connections has a huge impact on our mental as well as physical health and our happiness. Being socially connected to others can ease stress, anxiety as well as depression. It can also boost self-worth, provide comfort and joy, prevent loneliness, and even can add years to our life. For example, there was a recent survey done. Uh, it found that senior citizens are using social media to stay connected to the outside world. And the survey was done of with 1,000 pensioners, and it suggested that 7 in 10 respondents used Facebook to keep in touch and interact with family and friends. And how many people do not have a smile on their face on finding an old friend on Facebook? Well, social media has removed all the barriers and boundaries to communication by bringing the globe on a single platform. While also business opportunities have widened and marketers' reach has also broadened, it keeps us updated about everything going on every nook and corner of the world on a real-time basis, be it from emergency alerts to announcements and declarations to knowing how our old friends are doing has all become so convenient. It also provides us freedom of speech and thus enables everyone to speak their mind, and not to forget the incalculable access it provides to the extensive information. And with so much advancement and innovation, it would be an unimaginable world without having social media in it. And someone has rightly put it into words by saying social media is addictive. Yes, it is, precisely, because it gives us something that the real world lacks. It gives us immediacy, it gives us direction, and it gives us value as an individual. Social media enables us to communicate and stay up to date with our friends, family members around the world. It helps us find new friends and communities, networks. It helps us network with other people who share similar interests or ambitions, and it helps us to join or promote worthwhile causes, raises awareness on important issues, and it helps us to seek or offer emotional support during tough times. Fi- it helps us to find vital social connection if you live in a remote area, for example, or have limited independence, social anxiety, or are a part of marginalized group. Find it helps us find an outlet for your creativity and self-expression. It helps us discover sources of valuable information and learning. In the last 5 years, various social networking sites have taken the virtual world by storm. Now we have more friends on these sites than in real life. Social media have reshaped our lives like never before. Advantages of such sites are that the world has shrunk. We can have friends all over the world sitting at our home. We can share.
Prajwal.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I agree with you, Ria. But what a world it is, with everyone on their phones all the time, faking their lives and keeping like count for their likes, subscribers, followers. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, respected professors, organizers, and my dear friend. Myself Prajwal, and I am from Department of Earth Sciences, and my topic for the day is social media is connecting people socially and emotionally. And I would like to speak against the motion. Like it has now become doubtful to trust that the saying goes like technology was developed to save time and make lives easier because people have become addictive and unproductive. But it takes lots of effort and discipline to stay away from the social media. Like results have shown that it has had adverse human effect on human minds and their functioning. Like outdoor activities among children have also reduced significantly and drastically. Like I have no doubt it provides access to useful information, but it's hard to ignore that the quantum of fake news that spreads like wildfire and the extent of impact it has on society. In fact, fake WhatsApp forwards was the clear pattern that was observed behind the recent mob lynching, or can say like there's by mob lynching. There is a sorry there's a there are a number of cases like because of the social media, because of the fake news. Like it is one of the reasons behind insecurities and depressions and stress and loneliness in among the teenagers in recent times. We can see like it is right that technology was introduced to save time and but we forget that how matlab, means we forget to mention that in which amount we consume it. Okay, so remember, you leave the present moment every time when you check the phone. It has proven that concentration it decreases concentration power, negative impact on health. And initially it was only just a mail, just a simple mail, but after some time it was from just mail to messaging. Then after some time it was messaging to uploading your pictures, uploading for following your social media stars, and from where we can see everything on social media. But after so many years of using social media, people still get still can't find themselves happy. They still felt depressed, lonely. They still goes in depression. But after this situation, they don't talk with their families, friends, the real ones. They like they go online and they make friends and online and chat with them, share their problems. I think it's I don't get why, but I think we are living in a virtual world. Like we feel more comfortable online, but this is not the solution. We have to go offline. We have to discuss our problems to our family members, friends, society. And social media is basically emphasis on the quantity of relationship, not the quality. Like there are many scams through online also, like social media, like email phishing, text support scams, online dating scams. Like we can see fake charities also. Like after often a natural disaster that makes international headlines, fundraisers will reach out via email, via post in Instagram, Facebook. For like we are there is a post asking for money, please help. Okay, these are the only scams. Okay, they collect money for a good reason, and this is the real social media.
Okay, you are done. Ria, go ahead.
Okay, so this social networking is not all about fake news and scams. These networking sites like Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, to name a few, these all portray a larger than life attitude and provide beneficial in all walks of life, be it a student, professional, retired, personal as well. These connections can help one with a variety of things like seeking a new job, locating assistant, marketing, or receiving advice, etc. We, whether you are a non-profit organization who needs to get a word about your upcoming fundraiser, or whether you are, or you are, if you are a business owner marketing a new product or service. There is no better way to get your message in front of millions of people posting it online. And uh, from my personal experience, I myself have made a lot of connections on social media to the people related to my study field, and I have received a lot of help. Received a lot of help while communicating with them. Those people help me give a better understanding of my future goals, as they are pursuing that course, or they are doing that work in the present time. Where else could I have got these connections? And Instagram also provide many pages, many different study related. There are many study related content creators on Instagram, and again they also enhance knowledge related to my future goals. There are many communities and groups too on Facebook, where students from not only one country, from students from all over the world join of similar interests, uh, and then they interact to each other. And in the tough times we faced during COVID-19, when no one was allowed to physically meet each other's loved ones, and due to which a lot of people faced mental issues caused due to it. We know how social media, a blessing in itself, came to the rescue. People were then able to see each other through video calls. People have used social medias like Facebook, Instagram, or Zoom to catch up with their friends and family members. And to catch up with their friends and family members. Imagine having your morning coffee with a friend over Facebook, Instagram, or Zoom. It's definitely going to be an instant mood lifter in the times of social isolation. It is especially true for people who feed off interacting with people. Almost all the social media websites and applications today offer a feature where we can video chat with our family members and friends. Uh, Also, the coronavirus has caused many events to be called off because larger gatherings were discouraged during this phase. Then, what did people do? People hosted virtual parties and let people join these parties virtually, and they had fun from within their homes and apartments. While some people enjoyed the uh, freedom of that repeat cycle of sleep, eat, repeat, there came a time where everyone was feeling mental exhaustion because of living within four walls and interacting with no one outside the house. This is the reason why such apps help you network with your friends and family at any time of the day. And even when you are all stuck in your home, you can still feel virtually connected through the internet. And the emotional support that we get through it is from a family or friend is incomparable. Also, many people who lost their jobs due to job crisis have started small businesses in social media, and they shared their pages by someone posted or someone shared their pages on uh, their profiles. Also, people have shared many crucial informations like number of beds available, or number of oxygen cylinders, or number of vaccines available at COVID time. There were a lot of organizations that were helping people throughout social media only. Okay.
Prajwal. Put your mic on. Put your mic on.
Okay, Ria. So you are saying like people are gathering online and doing virtual parties. So is it really fun? I don't think so. Like, do you know, Ria? According to the study by Dr. Zenzi of University of Pittsburgh, every day if a person spends more than 2 hours on social media, then stress, depression, and the socially suicidal thoughts of decreasing, increasing day by day. But do you know why this happens? On social media networking sites like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchats, people show their best part of their lives. We like they never show the negative and the real things. And same things happen with the people who uses it. But when we see other people, like we compare our lives to their lives, and the debate on social media can be like endless journey. But remember one thing: we are human, and nobody is perfect. Like social media bring to us only selected best part of their lives, which we seems perfect, but it is not. It is definitely not. So like social media makes us anxious, compels us to doubt ourselves, but all the things makes us anxious, and after it makes us anxious, but then we use it again and again. But do you know why? Because of the dopamine chemical released by our brain. Like dopamine is the same chemical that is released into our body when we take drugs, alcohols, or we smoke, okay, or we earn money from gambling, okay. Like it makes us feel a sense of happiness. Because of it, we crave it for more and more. And the fact that social media is sites are designed in a such a way that the dopamine in our mind can be maximum. Like it is designed on the basis of Skinner box experiment, which was a experiment on pigeon. We don't talk about here. Like we are social animals, and we want to seek and social validation. Everyone wants, and social media amplifies things. Like social networks serve to disseminate information, but the validity of information can't be always be verified. Thus, the social media can be used to spread rumors, propaganda, and misleading information, now often referred to as post-truth or alternative facts. How do we cope up with social media? Like Dr. Logan Jones, who is a physiologist, he says that we can't just escape social media in just a single day. And instantly, we have to like do it slow, and it takes time. If you really want to escape social media, first he said like you just turn off your notification of unnecessary apps, like not the Gmail or WhatsApp, like Instagram, Facebook. If you don't find it if you find it unnecessary, okay. And you have to set the limit. Nowadays our estimate depends on like how many number of likes, number of followers, number of subscribers we gain. And hypo editor and influencer marketing and data analytic firm, according to their research, there are 1.6 crores of fake influencers in India with fake number of followers, fake number of likes. Like we all know about Kerry Minati. Like he's a very famous young YouTuber, huh? Or he has having 3 crores of subscribers on YouTube. But at one time he said like in his interview he said like he was also been through depression. But I don't find ये कैसे possible है? Like having a 3 crores of subscribers. Like he said like if you see online, what you see online is totally different from their real words. Like the pressure of being picture perfect, it is increasing day by day, and the apps like Instagram and Snapchat amplifies things and increases it.
Okay, are you done? Okay, Ria, go on. Put your mic on.
Yeah, am I audible now? Hello.
Yes, go on.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Nowadays, social media is also a place of acceptance. It can be difficult to feel like you are different to other people, or you can't connect with those around you. It can also make you feel lonely. Social media gives you the opportunity to find other people like you. This can especially be important for people who feel like they are different from everyone else. By learning about body positivity, or people who are struggling with their identity or sexuality. The internet can be a space where you can find people who accept you for what you are, and can give you a sense of belonging. which is very important for everyone's mental health. Feeling accepted is positive, and it is for our good well-being. People share their feelings and emotions over there without the feeling of being judged, and also there is increase in the acceptance towards LGBTQ community in these social sites, especially in Instagram. People support each other, and they don't let other people let they don't let people feel down. And a write-up on Google states that for kids who feel really self-conscious and nervous about being their true selves in their school or home settings, or who are struggling with depression or anxiety, but they don't talk about it on their own with families and friends, they find a particularly a strong sense of support from the safe anonymity of social media communities. There is a new study named Microblogging and the value of undirected communication. It suggests that social media interactions can help decrease negative emotions, and it helps boost well-being. The researchers found that people who feel nervous during their one-on-one conversation with uh, find refuge in social media, especially during their trying times. When people feel badly, they have a need to reach out to others, because this can help reduce negative emotions and restore a sense of well-being. But talking to someone face to face or on the phone call might feel daunting, because people may worry that they are bothering them. This is explained by Eva Bushel, a professor in University of South Carolina and a lead author of the study. Sharing a status update on Facebook or tweet on Twitter allows people to reach out to a larger audience in a more undirected manner. In conclusion, I would like to say that there are more advantages for using social media. However, there are advantages and disadvantages for a thing. Social media has changed our life so much. Our life became more convenient because social media is a very useful tool for us in 21st century. It helps us to improve our life. However, we have it is we have to be aware of how we are using it. If we could use the social media smartly, having social media becomes it absolutely becomes a good change for us. Thank you.
Okay. The seizing statement by Prajwal now.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I would like to counter Yuria. Like, uh, you didn't, you said all the things, but there are very serious issues related to the social media, like different challenges like hate speech, rumors, fake news. Okay, like hate speech and rumors in social media have been responsible for act of violence and death in many cases for quite some time now. Like there was a case in Maharashtra where two sadhus and their drivers were lynched. You don't know why. This incident was fueled by WhatsApp rumors. The rumors was like they're thieves and they stole something, and a group of villagers had mistaken them and killed them. And same goes for the mob lynching also. Social media also lends to the spread of mob lynching. Like there is a case in 2017, a very famous case. A boy named Pehlu Khan died by the mobs only by spreading the fake news that he is a cow slaughter, or he export cows illegally and export them. Okay, and do you know there is a no in current time there is a no law for the mob lynching. Like वो कहते हैं ना कि भीड़ का कोई चेहरा नहीं होता है. Here is the case that this incident show that a simple message can take someone's life very easily. So now I mean, how can we forget about online trolling? In recent times, Twitter is a very good source of information. I use it too. But some so-called vigilantes troll and threats people who disagreed their opinions, and they don't like favor their government. Okay, and with their opinions, this is the with their opinions. Okay, and this is the real face of social media. Like, and the main point is, and how can we forget about the women's safety? Like in recent times, women don't find safe on social media also. Like recently, Virat Kohli, we all know who is Virat Kohli, our Indian captain, cricket team captain. He didn't perform well in a match, and then after losing it, some trollers online Twitter, like they are abusing him, and they are giving rape, they are threatening him, and he itna hi nahi, they gave rape threats to his 9-year-old daughter. uh, then like I don't have any word. So Ria, how can be this good for mental health? A survey conducted by Plan International, a non-government organization, NGO, 50, around 58% of women faced online harassment, ranging from and deaths to rape and death threats to abuses. Like activists, including those campaigning for gender equality and on the LGBT community issues, were often targeted, particularly, and their lives and families threatened. This is the mentality of our society. There is a in the Hindu editorial published in 2019, because of the social media. In this report shown the staggering number of edited image, manipulated videos, and messages around throughout the social media, the fake messages. And when we talk about privacy, like it is a very serious issue. Like privacy is also at risk also. Privacy is at risk also because on social media, like pictures and videos of everyone are circulating through the internet. Even if we try to be careful, there is a no way we can prevent other people from posting our pictures or our families on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram. Okay, people are being social, but this socialness in social media leads to the some serious bad activities. Like much of the information disseminated in social media is not reliable at, or we can say it's totally false. Many people have become addicted to social media. It is true. Well, we can see around. Okay, like and online security breaches and privacy issues have also been increased due to social media. The impact of social media on children's education and development is uncertain. Okay, and facilitates the activist groups like criminal organizations, terrorists also. Like and all thanks to social media, like our government or the corporation can easily access to our information and collect our information that can be used against the our interest of the people. Like stalking and bullying is very common on social media. Like as this global pandemic moves our lives online, we are more risk at there than ever. Like finally, these okay, sir. So just last one, Para. Finally, these platforms have become fertile grounds for offense and crime. Many people suffer stalking and bullying through social networks. This has led to the dramatic cases where users have ended up committing suicide. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Now, I would like to ask Saran ma'am to share their comments and suggestions.
It is over.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think they may leave, and we have a discussion over this. Okay.
No, if you have something to say to them, as
Okay.
how they have performed or what.
No performance. It is all right. It's very good performance. I will suggest Ria that if she incorporates some informations, otherwise discussion is a little bit monotonous. Okay, same word you are repeating, or you are saying same thing in different tones. Okay, so I think you must incorporate some information. It would be better. And Prajal?
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Momita?
Yeah, the well spoken, though you have just got your topics recently, but still I want to share that usually debate topics are given instantaneously. So you must be prepared for that. Okay, so don't worry with that now. And you have spoken well. Just remember that in short time you have to deliver the maximum information. That should be the main motive. So use small sentences, use the point wise notification. So that's way you can incorporate more points within more short span of time. Yes, so I think in this situation you have lacked that, means in this topic. Okay, so you can say point wise, don't jumble around one or two topic itself. Okay, so anyway, well spoken. Thank you all.
Mm.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
ma'am.
much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello and welcome you all to the May launch, the poster presentation competition. I'm Aditi, today's host. We Orogeny, the Academic Society, Department of Arts Sciences, celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav as a part of 75 weeks long celebration announced by our Honorable Prime Minister. This is the last competition organized by us on a long 4-day program. So, without wasting much time, let's welcome the participants. Participants, please introduce yourself. Najat.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Nazar. I am in second sem of Masters in IIEST Shibpur.
Thank you, Najat. Now I would like to request Abhishek to introduce herself.
Good afternoon to everyone. I am Abhiksha Mohanty, PG first year, second sem. I'm from IIEST Shibpur. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek. Today we get Dr. Atin Kumar Mitra and Dr. Mamita Talukdar as our judges. Welcome, sir. Welcome, ma'am. Let's declare the rules before beginning. All the participants will get maximum of 10 minutes to present their poster. After presentation, there will be 5 minutes interaction session with our judges. You can score maximum 5 points from your abstract that you have already sent, 5 points from your poster, 5 points from your presentation, and 5 points from the interaction session. So, with the permission of our judges, let's begin the melange. I would like to call the first participant, Najat, to present his poster.
Poster visible? Yes.
But if possible, try to enlarge it a little bit.
So I have done it in full screen.
Okay, carry on.
Okay. I'm here taking the opportunity to describe about the Permian Tethyan transgression in Sikkim, Darjeeling, Himalaya, with special reference to the paleoclimate event. With this poster, I want to show the work of my previous senior, Mr. Raj Kumar Priya. He is pursuing PhD in my former Sikkim University. With this, I would like to go on with the description of the uh, Gondwana sedimentation. The Gondwana sedimentation initiated in the late Paleozoic era when the Gondwana was part of Pangaea. The Pangaea was a supercontinent, and when the supercontinent uh, was divided, the Indian subcontinent, the Gondwana sedimentation, along with it, took place and continued for about 160 million years. And it took place until the last Carboniferous to early Cretaceous. And along with it, we can see that the sequence stratigraphy and lithophysis is very well preserved in our Sikkim Darjeeling Himalaya, and it can be seen very clearly. Uh, in here, the Rangit pebble slate or the boulder bed formation is generally considered to be equivalent for the lower Gondwana Talsir boulder bed in peninsular India. As you can see the diagram here, I have presented that it is the geological map of Rangit window, Sikkim, uh, situated in Lesser Himalaya uh, in the northeastern part of India. It has been observed that the initial sedimentation in all the basins of Gondwana took place due to the melting of glaciers. It is very important to notice that the glaciers were previously um, settled down in the earth as the ice ball earth was formed, snowball earth, as we know. And the phases variation shows evolutionary history of sedimentation process of Permo Carboniferous Gondwana sedimentation along with it in that location. And multiple cycles of glacial and interglacial phases have been recorded in the form of different sedimentary phases in all the basin. And here I have presented a map showing where Sikkim is and where the geological map I have shown here that it can show the Tista Dome Sikkim, and along with it the Rongit window. It is here. It is written RW, and along with it the whole, small distance square presents the study area where it was done. The main objective of this study is to determine and document the occurrences of several diamictite phases in the Sikkim Darjeeling Himalaya. And later, to know the curiosity of the student, we can know that, and several scientists, that sequence stratigraphy is a very interesting thing, and we can know that from the past we can predict the future. So the evidences were found as the lower Gondwana sediments were deposited during the early Permian marine transgression. And it's a very important topic that marine transgression took place along with it when the Gondwana sedimentation and from the dispersal of the Gondwana supercontinent, transgression took place. Like we can explain it by the sediments of the lower sea level sediments came in between the ribs and valleys of India, and it took it away with it, and it is well preserved in it. The signature of Pomo Carboniferous Global, uh, as it is written, the cryosphere event is well preserved in Tatapani area and Rangit window in South Sikkim, Lesser Himalaya. And it can be seen that this all lithologue I have presented here, here it was actually depicted, and the all the evidences can be found in Darjeeling Himalaya, as I have written here. And there are detailed lithophases of the lower Gondwana of Rangit Basin in the Sikkim Darjeeling Lesser Himalaya, revealing 5 major phases association. They are conglomerate mudstone phases, massive conglomerate sandstone phases, pebble slate shale phases, sandstone shale phases, and thickly bedded black shale sandstone interbedded phases, and which are briefly shown here. And for this study, it was actually proved by the petrographic methodology in lab. For this, several diamectite samples were taken from the lower Gondwana formation of Sikkim Darjeeling Himalaya, and the composition and correlation of the major interfaces of microfacies and variation in the lower Gondwana diamectites from Lis River section near North Kali Trust and Rangit Window, South Sikkim, has been done. Here you can see that these are the microscopic study depicting the quartz, lithic fragments, then feldspar, then mica, and it is plotted in a Q, F, and L diagram, which where it can be it's clearly visible that the samples are plotting in the Q and L area mostly, like more than 75% of it, and it is very clear that these diamectites are of glacial uh, Permian-Tethyan transgression evidence. And in the conclusion, I want to say that, as I have said, that during the dispersal of the Gondwana supercontinent, uh, the India came along to the northward to the Eurasian plate in up to from 65 million years ago, and it collided with the our Eurasian plate, and along with it, we can see that there were formed 7 or 8 rift valleys and river basins where they are well preserved, and along with it, the Sikkim, Darjeeling Himalaya sediments can also be found there. But firstly, it was not well studied. Firstly, they were done in the Indian Peninsula, but recently it has been done. And such transition during the early Permian extensional phase are only possible uh, by the entry of southern Tethys Sea through the northeastern rift system as narrow seaway into the mid-continental rift system. This flooded the interior Sag basin as Paleo's channel, persistent northwesterly paleo current direction. Yes, it is well evident that it has been it wouldn't have been possible if this river valley were formed and it took away with it, and we are able to see it right now. In with the occurrence of alternate silt and mudstone faces, they are evidently visible in the field, and it is a model created that the lateral change in the sedimentary phases, sandstone, shale, mudstone, basically deciphers the transgressive phase. It is a generalized picture. With this, I want to thank again my senior, sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Rajkumar Priya for allowing me to use his work to exhibit this poster. And for reference, I have given his research paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Najat. Now I'd like to request the judges for their questions and suggestions.
Shall I start?
Yes, Atin sir. You start, I'll continue.
Okay. Nazat,
Yes,
very
sir.
nice presentation.
Thank
Uh,
you, sir.
Poster is very nice. So I have some questions
Yes, sir.
that you have mentioned that some diamictites are taken.
Yes, sir.
So what is diamictite and what is the difference between diamictite and polymictite?
So diamictite are glacial sediments and which are formed in the translation along with the uh, Permian-Tethyan translation.
What are the characteristic features of a diamictite?
Uh, so they are blast of boulder beds, I mean glacial beds, and along with it lithic fragments.
How you can identify it's a boulder beds or so
Uh,
I want to know that
yes, sir.
you will get some information regarding glacial environment. So
Yes, sir.
how you can identify a diamictite? What are the characteristic features?
The characteristic features are that the clast will be more than the sediments or the grains in between them, and the
No, 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 no. Mineralogy,
yes
it
sir.
is different. Okay,
Okay, okay,
so I will suggest you go through some books where you can get detailed information on diamictite.
okay sir.
Okay, otherwise there is a confusion between diamictite and polymictite. Okay,
Okay, okay,
next you have mentioned a term in your abstract, rhythmites.
yes sir.
What is that? What is
So
the significant geological significance of rhythmite?
so rhythmites are the rocks that are created or found in the sea level ground,
Hmm.
and that's why it's evidence that the sea level was there, the ATC was there in between the in between or before the collision of the Eurasian and
But
Indian plate.
but where is the rhythm? Rhythmite. No?
Yes sir.
The
Yes sir.
term is rhythmite. So it is mentioned maintaining a rhythm. That's why it is called rhythmite.
Okay sir.
So how it is forming?
So I have no idea.
Okay. Uh, next, uh, the term microphases and major lithophases. You
Yes.
have mentioned these two terms.
Yes sir.
So, what do you mean by microphases? What is the limit?
So the microphases are very minute, and it can be only seen through micro. Means it cannot be seen by eyes, and it needs a micro. Means I mean to see it. And so the other one you said,
No, no, no. Other one is major lithophases.
yes sir.
I want to know what is the limit of a microphasis. You said that I cannot see through naked eyes.
Yes sir.
This is not true. There
Okay.
is some other definitions. Okay, and the last one is that in the last line you have mentioned along with the cryogenic model for the global Permo-Carboniferous glaciation in the southern hemisphere.
Yes sir.
Do you know what is a cryogenic model? What is the meaning of cryogenic?
So the model I have shown here. This is the cryogenic model.
Hmm. Why the term cryogenic?
Uh, it is coming because the model is actually that at that time.
Do you know what is the meaning of cryogenic model? Forget the geology.
Yes sir.
Do you know what is the meaning of cryogenics or cryogenic model?
So I think about that glacial
Not
sedimentation.
glacial,
Okay.
anything, any process which is operating in a very cold temperature. It is called
Okay.
cryogenics or
Yes sir.
cryogenic model.
Yes sir.
And my last question is, you said the relationship with the Himalayan Gondwana cryosphere.
Yes sir.
So, what is that? Himalayan Gondwana? Himalayan, generally Himalayan mountain belt, it is associated with Tethyan sediments. And the time, what is the time?
Uh, it's 160 million years.
160 million years. And
The sedimentation.
what about Gondwana sedimentation? Which one is older? Gondwana sedimentation is older, or Himalayan Tethyan sedimentation is older?
Gondwana is older.
So, Himalayan Gondwana cryosphere.
Okay sir.
Hmm? Got my point?
Yes yes sir.
Okay. Okay, Bhumika?
Okay, I will start with first an advice to any participants over here that you have used one paper, means one reference publication, and you have put your presentation, but I would suggest that put something of your own. Like here actually, technically you cannot write Nazat your name and give everything depending on one person's or one paper's reference, है ना? Then
Yes.
every the total thing becomes the copy of the one paper. So that is okay since you are student, but I would suggest that whenever you go for a competition or something, at least take two or three journals or two or three papers, and then combine and give your own conclusions also, or your own something from your own. I think this every means Atin sir will also would like to add to this, because if everything is done by somebody else, then it cannot be called as your work. है ना, Nazat?
Yes,
Are
ma'am.
you getting?
Yes.
So what you people can do, that take one paper, or not one paper, more than one paper, and you can frame your own calculation, or you can show a combined effect. Like if both papers are having contrasting views, then you can put forward that contrasting view. Okay, since you have not done, so don't depend on only one journal. Are you getting, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, all of you, all the others, Abhipsha and Abhipsha is only there. Aditi also, she is also a student. Yes, are you getting?
Yes, ma'am.
All of you, whenever you go for a competition, don't only present only one work. Actually, that does not define your work. You have to write over there some Priya, RK Priya, basically. Hai na,
Yes.
Nazar?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Yes, so technically you cannot write your name over there, because everything over here is not made by you. The pictures, the lithofaces, the map, everything belongs to somebody else. Okay. So this was my first point. Next point, can you highlight the triangular diagram? Like you have QL, means you are having locations, means you are having the plot between Q and L. Now,
Yes.
what does that mean? Means what do you want to highlight that? You have only told that within Q and L, but what is the significance of that? Can you little bit highlight on that, Nazar?
Yes, ma'am. In the environment where the samples were found, the and after the petrographic means inspection, it can be found that in here.
Means if it is not falling in the F
Yes,
portion,
ma'am. Yes.
what, first of all, what does F means and what does Q means and L means? If somebody doesn't know, then means all of you are students over here, many of you are students over here, है ना? So you are getting between Q and L, and you are not getting in other positions. So what does that indicate? Means what is the highlight of the story?
Here it can be found that Q is quartz, F is feldspar, and L is lithic fragments. And
Yeah.
yes, and it depicts that there are alternate mixture of every fine, very fine and coarse grained pebble and cobble due to melting of glaciers, and it depicts that one.
Okay, so if you are not getting feldspar, what does that mean? Does it indicate anything?
Yes, man, it should indicate that
Means
felds.
means only few spots you are getting near feldspar. So you are not getting any feldspar. It is not, maybe it cannot be called as grave okay or something. Okay, means if you are having so if you are getting within quartz and lithic segments, okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
what does it indicate? Okay, so that part you have to little bit study why you are getting this. Next part, that you are getting a transgression after a glaciation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So how will you indicate with the lithofaces with that? Means how you will you correlate with each other? That part you have touched, but you have not highlighted. Means that is only the paleoclimate, your main story, or the main climax of the story is that you are indicating a paleoclimate, that you are having a warming up climate. from glacial stage to a warmer climate, you are having a transgression. So how will you what is this lithophasis you have made a log, and how that depicts your story? Can you elaborate?
Yes, ma'am. By the litholog, it can be shown that the sediments of before the transgression and after the transgression, that here the faces are on top of each other like a cake formation. It shows, it is the evidence that it can be found that these are the time where uh, there was transgression, and these are the time that they were.
No, no, Nazat, you are going in wrong direction. I would rather tell you like you are getting a conglomerate at the base, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Then slowly finding upward system, upward faces you are getting. So that will indicate your transgression, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
First, you are getting a conglomerate. You will have the sedimentation from the glacier.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so I think these are the key points for the students to understand. Okay, we know we could understand the journals, means we could understand your story, but these few short, small things, the other students will not be able to get. Are you getting?
Yes, ma'am.
So you need to join your pictures with your topic every time you go through each segment of your poster. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, so that's all from my side. Uddalok and Aditi.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to call Abhipsha to present her poster.
Ovipsha, unmute yourself.
Sorry, sir. My, my poster is about Black Gold Explorer, the fluid inclusion. Fluid inclusions are small droplets of fluid that have been trapped within crystal either during primary growth from solution or at some later stage, usually as a result of recrystallization along healed microfractures. It is a microscale fluid filled isolated cavities in or between crystals in rock materials. They are the siblings which tell the paleostory of its parent petroleum reservoir, all about migration, maturity, source, oil type, condition of formation, and API gravity. So these inclusions occur in a wide variety of environments. For example, they are found within cementing minerals of sedimentary rocks, in gangue minerals such as quartz, calcite, in hydrothermal circulation deposits, in fossil amber, and in deep ice cores. Fluid inclusions can use to interpret thermal history and petroleum maturation and migration relative to burial history, temperature, pressure, and composition data collected from fluid inclusion. So, there are three types of fluid inclusions: primary fluid inclusion, secondary fluid inclusion, pseudo secondary fluid inclusion. The first one, primary fluid inclusions, which is formed during the formation of the inclusion crystal, trapped along growth zone and crystal phase. It indicates the condition of formation. In secondary fluid inclusions, it is formed after the mineral formation and it trapped in fractures caught due to healing of fractures. And in pseudo-secondary fluid inclusions, these are formed during the crystallization of host minerals. It occurs along the trails. It occurs along the trails ends abruptly against grain boundaries or one of the growth zone. So we can see that it is the one of the example of primary fluid inclusion, um, secondary fluid inclusion, and pseudo secondary fluid inclusion. Fluid inclusion stratigraphy. Fluid inclusion stratigraphy is a patent technique involving the rapid and complete analysis of trapped organic and inorganic volatiles in fluid inclusions from cutting core or outcrop samples using quadruple mass analyzers attached to an automated high vacuum sample introduction system. So basically, fluid inclusion stratigraphy is the prospectus to future. It helps to the future prospectus. Then before going to the application, there are some methods used to analyze the fluid inclusions. Those methods are manual manipulation under microscope, laser Raman microprobe, laser ablation with mass spectrometry. So some of the inclusion applications are quadruple mass spectroscopy. In this, the mass spectrum of constituent component is created after crushing and separation of ionized component. In this application, the grains or the minerals are crushed. Then the ionized components or components are created. Then proximity to P indicator. Presence of water soluble organic indicates hidden hydrocarbon zones. Anomaly is thought to represent diffusive transport of water soluble organic compounds away from the accumulation, thought intervals of high water saturation zone. It indicates further exploration in that zone. So basically, in this case, presence of water soluble organic, the presence of water is here. Then fluid petrography and microthermometry, optical examination of thick polished sections of rock materials under plain light and UV excitation, deduction of temperature of emplacement, salinity, quality, API gravity, fluid contacts, etc. is done by measuring phase changes during heating and cooling of petroleum inclusions. Fracture identification in well. There is statistical differences in the average concentration of selected species for fracture zone versus non-fracture zone. The concentration of CO2, H2O, argon, nitrogen, and sulfur species increases when the fracture veins are in producing zone. Based on fluid inclusion stratigraphy, gas chemistry of fracture zone and non-fracture zone is different. So this way, also fracture are identified. High values of N2 and CH4 indicates fracture zone. Peaks indicate fracture zones, and due to these fractures, permeability of formation increases. So here are some graphs which shows if fracture is there, the permeability also increases. Fluorescence microspectrometry. It is the best available optical technique to study the crude oil concentration and migration of oil. It is usually based on interaction of aromatics and UV light. So if the migration is if the oil inclusion is less, then it indicates migration, and if the inclusion is large, if the oil inclusion is large, then it indicates reservoir. Source rock maturity. The ratio of M by Z. The ratio of M by Z means mass to charge ratio, and is 57, and M by Z 55. Increases in fluid inclusions as thermal maturity increases. If these ratios are increases, then the thermal maturity also increases. Temperature of well. Hotter zones are considered target areas for production of N2 by air, nitrogen to argon, and CO2 to CH4 are plotted for each well. Higher ratio indicates higher temperature. If the ratio is higher, then the temperature will be higher. And higher temperature zone considered as thick plume. If the temperature is higher, then we know that it is a thick plume fluid zone, and if the temperature is low, then it has no plume fluid. So these are some case studies which shows oil gas contact and oil water contact. uh, that's all about my poster. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhiksha. Now I would like to request our judges for their questions and suggestions.
Momita, you first.
Yeah. Okay. Aviksha, where are your references? These pictures are not taken by you, so you need to give your references.
Yes, ma'am, actually this is my first time, so I forgot to
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here we are sitting here to basically guide you, not to judge you. Okay. So what you have to do, that is, you have to put the references, and if each of the pictures are taken from different sections of different journals or books, then the pictures in the bottom you can write modified after, or who has given. So you need to show the that from where you have taken, or what is the source. Okay, that is you always have to do, whether you are presenting in a presentation, means in a PPT, or in a poster. Is it clear to everybody, all the others?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So you need to show always that from where you are taking. Next, can you tell me that here, if you are using fluid inclusions, then if it is heated, what will happen to these fluid inclusions? Means what is the temperature range which you can use, for which you can use the fluid inclusion? Do you have any idea? Will you get fluid inclusions in metamorphic rocks? Can this be applicable to metamorphic rock also?
It is found basically in dolomite, calcite, not in metamorphic rock.
Okay, so you are indicating that we can get in a higher temperature. But
Yes,
here you are referring to the only the oil sections, correct?
yes, ma'am.
So can you tell me what is the oil window, in which temperature you are having this window?
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, that's all. Atin sir?
Hmm. Ovipsha, first of all, it is a very nice poster. Your color combination and the picture quality, what you have given here, is very nice. But as ma'am said, that you have to insert the reference, or that details what you have missed, you have to insert those. Okay. Now
Yes,
my
sir.
question is that if I ask you what will be the keywords for your work, then can you tell me what are the keywords? If I want to search through net that this type of work or your work, then there are some keywords for a paper. So can you tell me what will be your keywords? 5 keywords for your work.
The first one is fluid inclusion, and crude oil, s- spectrometer, fracture.
Ovipsa, this keyword will give you a huge number of papers. Okay, so from that collection to search your paper, it is very difficult. So try to give some more, uh, what should I call? Momita, what's the term?
Specific or
Specific. Uh,
maybe two word keyword, one segment, like
hmm,
fluid inclusion in oil zone or something like that, which will directly take you to the fluid inclusion study with the associated oil section, or where you are getting source identification, or
you're
um,
right.
rather reservoir identification, or so on. है ना? So maybe two keywords or something like that you can use.
And one more
Are
thing
you getting?
that one more thing, Ovipsha, you have explained a lot of things, but everywhere you must explain a little bit more. Like you said, temperature. If temperature is high, there is a thick film. But you must explain more. Okay, only
Means
that
why
term.
the thickness is.
Right. Why it is
Yes.
high? Why it is low?
Yeah.
If I got this, then it is the significance. You have to explain, or you have to add a few lines more. Can you tell me one more thing? That fluid inclusion, is it the dynamics is same for great depth and shallow depth? That I want to mean, you have collected a sample from a depth. When you take it sample at the shallow level, so there will be a chance to develop a few fractures. So at that time, is there will be some change.
Sir, I'm not getting your question.
No, actually, this fluid inclusion, that what you have already explained, it is formed at the depth. Okay, so when you take the sample to the shallower level, it might happen that due to decompression, some fractures may develop.
Yes, sir.
So at that time, uh, is there any difficulty to see the samples or any problem?
No, sir, I don't think so.
Why?
If fractures are there, then we can see the fluid inclusions. No, no. Fluid inclusions need to see with the help of microscope, because it is a micron scale. It is in micron scale.
And you have used a term, healing of fractures. What is that?
Sir?
Healing of fractures. Healing of fractures. You have mentioned this. What is that? Okay. Okay, it's over for me.
Thank you,
Aditi?
sir.
Hmm.
Yes, sir. Now, as we have come to the end of the program, I would like to convey that thank you all for making it a success. Thank you, judges, for your precious time, and it was a very good presentation. Thank you all.